Good afternoon again. I'm Karyn Biasca. As I said earlier, I'm a professor in the Paper Science and Engineering Department at UWS. And the topic of my particular presentation here is our assessment of industrial internships. And this is something that we're not actually doing yet. I've been doing work with electronic portfolios for years. We started becoming folio thinkers back in 2004, 2005. And I've done a lot of work with electronic portfolios, both really bad software products as well as much better software products. And I think that's one of the reasons, at least, why I think that D2L is a pretty good one, because I've seen some really bad ones and tried to prepare portfolios in other ways. But what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is to give you a little bit of an idea of what our academic program is all about and describe why the internship is of such importance. And it probably won't be of a lot of surprise to most of you. And give a little bit of an idea of how we came to understand what the student learning outcomes for our internship actually are and how we use D2L to assess those. So this picture down in the lower right-hand corner is a picture of a group of students working on the paper machine that's in our department. And in a nutshell, our department has been around for 35 years, and it's the best-kept secret in the UW system, I think. It's an ABET accredited engineering program. ABET stands for the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. It's an international accrediting agency. And for 35 consecutive years, we've placed 100% of our graduates in engineering entry-level career positions. And there's not a lot of programs, at least on our campus, that can say that. And they've, for years and years and years, been doing the work of engineers and placed as engineers with engineering job titles. At least part of that is that it's due to this rigorous curriculum that we have. It's essentially chemical engineering with a little salt and pepper of pulp and paper technology added to it. And we have some extensive laboratory facilities, including, and this is my only propaganda for nice. This is our paper machine that's in the big lab for our program. Wait, what? Come back here. You can't just skip my propaganda. And it is indeed the fastest student-operated paper machine in the world. There are several paper machines of this scale in the world, and ours is the fastest one that's specifically dedicated to training students how to make paper. Now, one of the reasons that we have thought over the years that our students have been so highly desired by the pulp and paper industry, for other industries as well, by the way. Our graduates don't all go to work in the paper industry. But one of the reasons that we think that they're so highly desired is because of our internship requirement. It's a 3-credit requirement for graduation. You can't get by without doing it. Companies actively recruit students for these internships. They're cheap labor. And as a result, they end up doing a 9-month term in the field working for a pulp and paper company or a chemical company or equipment company that is usually closely affiliated with the industry. Back in the day, the founder of our program decided that what these internships should be, the main student activities should be that they would write this massive paper that described the pulp and paper industry from the wood to the final product. And these papers that came back were literally hundreds of pages, and all of us junior faculty members were convinced that he graded them by taking the stack and throwing them down a flight of stairs and seeing which ones were farthest towards the bottom. They got the A's, and the ones that landed in scattered tatters at his feet certainly were the C-minuses to D's. So the problem is that nobody wanted to read all of that. And we're assigning a grade based on this paper, and ultimately we decided, well, we probably should be asking their supervisors something about what they think about their work. And so we incorporated this supervisor review. Then something happened. About 15 years ago, all of a sudden our employers decided that they didn't want to send us these papers that the students were writing because they contained information that was proprietary to the products that they were making. Now, that's nonsense. Okay, it is. But they thought it, they kept the papers, and so we still had this 3-credit internship that we had to assign a grade to and give credit for. So what we do is we sent the supervisors a rubric so that they could grade the papers. Now, in some sense, that's an improvement, right? But Now we're in a situation where we don't have any idea what our students really are doing on these internships. We're relying completely on these supervisors to tell us what sort of a grade we as faculty should be giving these students for this internship. And I found that to be unsatisfactory. There's a lot of other adjectives that I could use, but let's just stick with that one. Now, over the last year or so, we as a faculty have had lots of discussion about the things that the students should at least be exposed to during their internship. And these are a subset of the student outcomes for our program that we think should be touched on in the internship. I'm not going to read them all to you. But ABET has a strength in that they prescribe a certain format of their student learning outcomes. So what we did is last year, I started an ongoing D2L course that's called Co-op 001. All of the students who are out on their internship site are assigned to that course. I posted 16 questions for them to ask, for them to answer. I asked, they answered. And the biggest reason that I did this was that we found that when students came back from their internships after they'd been gone for 9 months, they had no recollection of what they did early in their internship at all. And so, and a lot of the things that they did early in their internship laid the foundation for the things that they did later. So they needed to remember that stuff. So we use this discussion forum with the questions, and there's a very wide range of question depth. The first one they had to answer is describe where you're living. These internships are all over the country. In fact, this past year we had several in Europe. And so the idea was we started with something really easy, just describe where you're living. The last one, which was posted for them 2 weeks before the end of their co-op term, is describe how you have changed as a person and a student as a result of your internship. Okay, a little bit of difference in depth of thought required for those, but that's in everything in between. We asked them to go interview their supervisor and find out what their family life was like, what their hobbies were. We asked them to give us a recounting of the environmental equipment, the environmental control equipment that's in the mill, that sort of thing. There's a lot of technical content to the questions, but there's a really significant piece of personal development, personal and professional development there as well. In addition, this is an ongoing class, so they can still see it. So they have this record, this complete record of these questions that they answered during their internship. And now, when they come back to class, and this is the first semester that we've invoked this, they take a class that's called Paper Science and Engineering 300 Mill Internship. And now we're using the electronic portfolio to collect and present evidence of what they achieved during their internship. What we are requiring, I say we, this is me, up until about 5 years ago, three or 4 or 5 years ago, our department chair was in charge of this. And I made the mistake of going in and complaining about it one too many times. And so he said, you don't like me, take care of it, do something different, fix it. And so this was really all kind of my idea with the input from the other faculty in the department. First thing they have to do is a reflection essay. I've given them an outline for it. The second thing they have to do is a headshot video of themselves, no professional production or anything like that, sit in front of your webcam and talk about your internship experience, 2 to 5 minutes. And that video has to go into their electronic portfolio, as well as evidence of the work that they did during their internship. If they are not allowed to share the actual pieces of work they did, they need to describe the things that they did in enough detail that we can understand what it is. So I think that this is going to be a major improvement. Here are the outcomes for this particular course that we wanted to explain how the industrial facility that they worked at actually operated. And that includes organizational hierarchy, the whole 9 yards. Describe the professional skills they developed, and with the reflection prompt, with the reflection activity, and with their video, demonstrate their communication skills. When we talked about the video requirement at the initial meeting of PSEN 300 at the beginning of this semester, I got a lot of looks that I knew exactly what they were saying. And it wasn't, yay, we get to do a video. It was a look of, I don't want to see myself on video. And I understand that. I hate seeing myself on video as well. But I know very well that it's incredibly helpful and very useful, and it's still something that I actively avoid. But it's a requirement for them. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it works. We had an extensive discussion about these requirements. I'll meet with them again mid-semester to see how they're doing. Once we get past that, the beauty of the ePortfolio system is that we can then share this with the members of our industry advisory board, and we will. And we did some activities last year where we shared the work of our seniors on their engineering design projects, and that went over like gangbusters. Our industry advisory board loved that stuff, and so I know that they're looking forward to seeing these ePortfolios because I've talked about it. In spite of the fact that if you look closely at this photograph, you'll see that this is a bunch of gray-haired men in gray suits sitting in a gray room. These are the people that, like from UW colleges, that said, "Oh, this ePortfolio is too hard." No, I'm joking, obviously, but the idea here is that these people have a lot of experience, a wealth of experience in the industry, and if they see some things that we might want to adjust, we'll definitely adjust them. This portfolio is going to include rubric assessments and give the students a really good idea of what it is that we're after from this internship experience. So, God darn it, that was more than 7.5 minutes. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am.